Good morning, guys. In Europe, good evening if you're in the Southern Hemisphere with me. It's been a little while since we've done an update. I think it was back in January. Um, so today we've got the project update focusing on the milestones that we're looking at hitting this quarter, next quarter, multi-exchange. Bull will go deep into that on the technical side of things, so that's quite exciting. But I think this is a really, really powerful time to be looking at the BTX and what we're set to launch, because the market is really heating up. If you've been following along with the commentary on the basis Twitter and just the market generally, I guess. So opportunities on BTC, ETH, these larger, more liquid coins are exceeding, in some cases, 100% APR now, and for consistent periods of time, which we haven't seen for the best part of 18 months to 2 years. So I think we're very much back, and Bull, pretty excited to talk about it.
Yeah, it's a bit mental actually. The whole market's moved a hell of a lot faster than I think most people anticipated. I think everyone was waiting until the halving and then a couple of months afterwards for stuff to start heating up. But it seems that we're in crazy territory already. I think today is the first day I truly felt like we're back in a bull market. I know lots of people will say, "Oh, we've been in a bull market for months," and yeah, that is true if you are a more sophisticated trader or you are a good trader. But if you look at the majority of retail, they're still quite salty towards crypto in general. But they'll wake up and we're going to hit 60K in a minute, and then they'll be like, "Wait, it's back there." So yeah.
Yeah. I haven't had one of my friends, at least friends that I don't
No.
speak to in crypto, ask me about Bitcoin or crypto more generally. So that's usually a pretty good sign. And Coinbase is like 380, I think, on the App Store at the moment.
Yeah. It's
So
nowhere near where it was. Like it only starts when stuff really starts frothing. But you think that it would have happened already because we've had some pretty stellar runs on smaller alts. But I guess people just automatically assume that's going to go to zero afterwards anyway.
yeah, PTSD for sure. All right, let's get into it. So I guess just showing what the BTX is showing at the moment, the beauty of this is going to be, I think, in the multi-exchange execution, which of course, is limited at the moment, Binance only. But these opportunities that you can see, they're consistent and consistently in healthy double digits. And in some cases, you can catch one in the triple digits across exchanges. So this is what we're working towards. Just to start off things and go on a little bit of a tangent for a second, clicking on this, executing in just a few clicks, if you've, of course, set up your API keys and funded on each exchange, you should be able to get in and out of these trades within just a few clicks. And that's a very powerful machine that we've been building over the last 18 months. So let's dive deeper into that. We'll use this article as a bit of an anchor point to go through our plan and where we are at. So if you missed this, posted on blog.basis.markets, the project update for February. We aim to get something out like this each month and be a bit more consistent, I guess, with the communications. Now we're leading up into the public deployment or launch of the BTX. So a bit of a market overview to start, but I don't think we need to go too deep into that. DAO proposal number 6 was developed and end of the voting stage, and that's of course set the platform for the first phase of the BTX launch. Bull, I think, I don't want to put timelines in your mouth, but you were speaking a bit earlier in the next couple of weeks, 2 weeks to be.
Yeah, according to the timeline we posted, the BTX multi-exchange should be released before the half of March, and I can confidently say within the coming 2 weeks we are going to be launching multi-exchange, which will start off with 3 exchanges, and then we're rapidly going to ramp it up. We have all the tests are passing. Currently what we're doing is we're integrating it within the application as is. So the interface that you're seeing right now will be deprecated at some point very soon as well, because it is more of a beta interface. Once all the features are in there, we are working on a redesign to make it more actual, more usable, and also all of the beta feedback that we've gotten. So in terms of notional size, millions of positions have been opened and closed. In terms of the dollar size deployed, we've received quite a good amount of feedback in the Discord and in the tickets. Currently we are at ticket 1086. So I think that we have the right ingredients to take it the next steps further. We also brought on board more talent around the change of the year to help out with this. So yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's exciting.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess just quickly on the beta process and where we've come to so far, like what do you think out of that beta? Is there anything that stands out, or are you happy with it on the tech side of things?
Sorry, say that again. I need to
With
close
the
the Discord
users,
chat. It's
sorry.
distracting. Yeah.
Oh, my question was just throughout the beta phase that we've been going through and user feedback testing. What are you seeing on, I guess, the behind the scenes in the back end, on the front end? Are
So
you happy?
yeah, I am. I think that there's a couple of things that we discovered in the process, which is really good. Like it can be simple things like for a while we didn't have post only for limit chasing, so sometimes it would do the take a liquidity. This is like a very it's like a one flag change in the code, but it leads to an immense change in fee structure usage for the positions. But I think the real I think the thing that we always knew, but the real powerful thing about it is that in a bear market, when yields are sort of neutral and there's so little participants that everything is sort of arbed out, delta neutral plays are harder to execute well. Let me put it that way. They're not non-existent; they are there, but there's more rotations. You need to watch your fee structures more. It's more beneficial to have a higher tiered account. And in markets like these, you can just keep positions in majors open for quite a decent amount of time, and they'll be yielding quite well. So I think that there's a seasonality to the application that's opened some eyes in terms of okay, we need to make sure that once the multi-exchange and the redesign and the new BTE is released, that we focus on some good suggestions that have come in via the beta users as well. So like a couple of really cool people have reached out and said, hey, I'm doing this on-chain thing, and it would be great if I could manage my exchange position automatically to constantly hedge the volatile part of it. Now that's the kind of stuff that really really helps. So for example, you're in some shitcoin like a dog with hat, which has got no reason to exist other than the fact that it has a hat and everybody's talking about it. But there are some really insane on-chain yield farms which people are playing with. And what you have it is that they are listed on some exchanges now, so you can technically short the hell out of it and make quite a good return, especially with leverage. And these kind of things, they're fun to look into. Also, more hybrid positions like where the quote part of the trading pair is not a stable coin but another volatile coin. There's some really cool plays in there. And the more quantitative people will be having played with this. So, long story short, I think that we really saw where the hiccups came from in the process with people using the BTX during the beta phase. So, for example, we need to know, and we've also worked on this, to streamline the communication of the application and infrastructure back to the user of what's exactly happening. So, after they've clicked open position, a lot of people complained that they would be not left in the dark, but that it would take a bit of time for the position to open properly in the positions page and for there to be details on what the execution exactly entailed. So, what we've done in the redesign is we've made sure that the positions and the transition from opening a position to a position is made very clear and good communication. But also that if the user wants to, they can expand the position and retrieve an entire log of every single thing that the BTX has done with the exchange in terms of order. And this really helps with not only people understanding what the engine is doing under the hood, but also for accountability and understanding what's happened with their funds on the exchange in terms of position execution. And it allows them to monitor their strategies a lot better and how to deploy funds into different yielding positions. But I think that more than anything, and that's why I've been working on it so much, is that what you've seen as well, especially during the bear, is that the most lucrative opportunity just is still the funding arbs between the exchanges. And this is logical because they are just harder to execute manually. And a lot of people don't understand or cannot quantify the risk by spreading collateral across exchanges and understanding what sort of volatility a coin endures and then how they should position themselves with that. And this is all the kind of things that we're building to make sure that we can help them out with. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, more than answers it. I think that's the beauty of it. Nothing exists like this at the moment, so we can really corner the market and help people execute these things. There will be like a bit of
it will come for sure.
disadvantage to arbing this out with a larger community, but I think that's what the goal of the project is, right? Like just to get people involved and help them begin earning money, I guess, in a different way and thinking about the market a little bit differently.
Yeah, I think that, the product gains popularity and more people using it, then, naturally some opportunities will arbitrage themselves out because of the usage of it. And this sort of self-folding point can only be solved by making sure that we allow people to do stuff like the semi-on-chain, semi-off-chain stuff, and keep innovating on these things, which is a good one.
Yeah,
there's stablecoin projects like Ethena and UXD in the past that did funding strategy based stablecoin deployments. But I mean, whilst I like them, I really liked UXD in the way that it was set up, and I liked Athena in the way that it was set up. The issue that I have with it is it takes one leak in the entire process for the whole thing to go upside down. And we saw that with the whole Mongo saga, and Mongo was not hacked. It was just a protocol exploit by somebody that understood there was a mistake in the dynamics that were set. And this is not something you want to see, but it is a real risk that exists in these sort of plays. So people will always want to make algorithmic stable coins. I don't think there's any space for us to do anything in that area, and I wouldn't really want to do anything in that area either. But the pure basis plays and the reverse basis plays and the funding arbitrage and the hybrid on-chain, off-chain stuff, I think that's where like the real value lies. And I just really want to see it being so simple that on their mobile browser in their Phantom wallet or whatever, they're just monitoring what positions that they're in. They're getting notifications in Telegram. They can close and open positions from Telegram if they want to. And it should just be a couple of thumb movements to park stables in something that is yielding instead of waiting for a dip purely in stables, for example.
Yeah. Yeah. So moving towards, I guess, so you've got the execution side of things. You've got also firstly identifying an opportunity, executing on that opportunity, and then monitoring. So I think monitoring is one of the important components that you've pointed out as well, with some quant tooling and the BTE being a bit more revived and rebuilt.
Yeah. I think I should cover that for a second though, because the reason why we took it offline is because that technology and the data gathering technology was initially built when we had another member on the team, whose name I shall not mention. And it's hard to stay positive about it, but it was just starting to become an enormous waste of time to keep plugging holes that started to exist within that. And at the same time, we were building a data infrastructure and still are building a data infrastructure for the BTX, which is far superior. And I think at a certain point, a decision had to be made to take it offline because we're very close to releasing the second version of it. And the amount of time that was spent in trying to fix and plug holes, and then the disappointment that creates with people was higher than the effort that we could just put into building the second version. So I think that we're killing two flies with one squatter, or whatever the English expression is.
It means the same thing.
Yeah,
birds with stones usually, but
two spiders, one snake.
Also.
Whatever you say in Australia. No, but I think that's fun, and I think that will definitely also be the vision for that is for it to not be just like some yet another dashboard, but for it to be a lot simpler in usage and a lot more shareable in usage. So people should really use it in effect to see, oh, look at this funding matrix. The markets are definitely mean reverting, or the kind of post that you're seeing every day these days. There's very good people out there like the Velo data team that have some really interesting indicators within their platform. And that's the kind of data that we really have. So for us to create that kind of thing is very simple, relatively simple. And I think that the BTE should definitely be used as a way to show people that the BTX also exists. And then it should be just a button click to upgrade to the BTX and then start using it, which brings us to the public launch, etc. So I want all of those things to come together, and I think that that's what the team is working very hard on, unifying all of those things.
Yeah, 100%. So I think it's just a matter of making it quite simple to do those, the process that you go through when you're looking at any trade. So just identifying the opportunity and then executing that, because with basis trades, most of your profit can be eaten with the spread and the fees that you pay. So I guess another component of it is also arranging some favorable deals with exchanges that we are integrating with, which we're working on.
Yeah,
So
that's going to be hugely important. I think like anything to mitigate fees is crucial. And I think there's also a big education part of it. Like it's counterintuitive, but flip-flopping in and out of basis positions is the antithesis of what you're supposed to do. But it requires people to have the comfort to stay in a position. And that requires two things, which is education and the right visualizations and information at hand. Do you think?
yeah, I think so for sure, because you look at this BTX page most days, and there's opportunities always shifting hands or shifting up and down this leaderboard, I guess, to speak. So that 7-day APR can be quite volatile at times, but then you do see opportunities that will persist for weeks upon even months sometimes. So I guess highlighting those in the user interface and also adding some tooling to help people identify that is going to be a really powerful thing.
The issue with it is though is that nobody can predict the market. So
Yeah.
some bullshit can happen a week from now, which flips the funding on everything completely, and then people really do need to get out, because otherwise you're just paying people.
Yeah.
And distinguishing between those kind of moments and stuff just reaching a big ask wall and then spending some time waiting there and then moving forward again, like that's I'm still not very clear on how to solve that issue. I mean, we don't want to hold people's hands entirely, but we need to make the experience assistive and intuitive enough so that people can distinguish between the two, or at least learn how to distinguish between the two through the usage of the platform and the communication around it. And I think that those are the kind of challenges that we're still talking about on a daily basis. Like what we have to do in terms of development is super clear, and that's what we're working on. But how to make delta neutral plays less scary, that's a big topic.
Yeah, well, I think there's still some directional component to it, right, with the way that you think about this whole opportunity, because obviously during a bear market there's less opportunity. They're still there, but they take different shapes and forms. In a bull market, again, they take a totally opposite form. And at the moment, what you're seeing with the ones that are heating up, it's your BTC, your ETH, and now even your SOL, when there's clear directional narratives or some kind of narrative that's driving it. For ETH, that's the ETF. And if you can spot those ahead of time, these opportunities often persist. Like BTC was paying 100% for, I don't know, it was like 3 months or something,
a solid
leading
play.
into the ETF.
So if a major like that, which is doing I think about 30 billion in volume on Binance a day at the moment, is doing a solid funding run, that's a very solid play. But if some shitcoin like SC, what the hell is SC, pays you 300%? Like currently in the application, that's at the top because the APR is the highest, but that's not necessarily the best type of APR. So I had that question in the Discord the other day. I don't remember who it was from, but they said, "Hey, so what do I do with regards to display?" And I was able to explain it to him quite well, attaching news events as to why it might be happening and why it shouldn't be looked at as anything other than only do this if you know what you're doing kind of play. So that's another thing that where I hope that visualizations really help, and more quantitative aspects that help people understand what is the quality of this basis play, because and that also helps marketing, because I know that it irritates some people when we post opportunities when some shit coins at the top's like, yeah, but the pros will know like this is don't touch this kind of thing, and it's great, but all the really good opportunities still below. And I mean, in crypto we've become a bit numb, like everything needs to be triple digits or it's bullshit. And the thing is that 90% of normal people will be happy with about 5% somewhere. But it's you have to put it next to risk. You cannot only show the reward. That's the key, I think.
Yeah, so things like liquidity, the size that you can get on, the power of the narrative, that needs to be quantified.
Yeah, I mean, simple stuff like attaching news items that have been found next to the coins, that helps, or recent Twitter posts that are popular around the item. But I think that the numbers will tell it as well. Like if you can see how long and strong the opportunity has been, like the APR that you see is a snapshot, and we should have more metrics there, and also a chart, which you can
So I
sort of
guess
filter by.
to me, looking at this, like ETH is an obvious one at the moment at 30%, leading into May because you've got a decision on the 23rd. So you'd expect that to persist for the best part of the next couple of months. So that's an opportunity.
Yeah.
But I guess without that knowledge and that understanding of the market, you might be a little bit
and some people will
clueless,
say, well,
but
you
confused.
can flip it with blueberries on Curve, and then you can add it to a base layer, and then add sugar nuts or whatever bullshit APR play there is on chain, which yields you 600%. Yeah, you can do that, but
then you've got 6 counterparties that can
and
rug you.
like 90% of people don't want to do that. They just want something that's in an exchange that they can get in and out of, and it's quite clear. Like, sure, the on-chain APR play might be higher, but it's also a lot more risky.
Yeah. So I guess the point being is that we're moving to having that level of data available for users. So that's exciting.
Yeah. I think that this discussion is like the point of this whole is just to highlight like the substance behind the thinking of why we're doing the things that we're doing. So we're really trying to think about what are the things that the product in the front end needs, for example, and then subsequent changes to the data infrastructure in order to make these things better and clearer for people to use and understand, to make quick decisions.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
So this roadmap that you built, Bull, I think we should just quickly go over that. And we've spoke about these items, but I guess a timeline that makes sense in your head.
It's good to talk about this.
People know what you think.
Yeah, so this was done after a lot of discussion with the developers, and we spec'd out all the individual components that are required to build these kind of things. So here you see that the first big thing is multi-exchange integration. Should be finished before the middle of March, which we're on track of doing. And then the next thing that comes after it on that part is the integration push, so expanding the integrated exchanges so people have many venues to execute their positions. Alerts and notifications are really important, as well as like basic metrics and important stuff that should adjoin the positions, like what is the volume of the coin traded across all of the exchanges? What is the spot versus the perp volume? How long has this funding been in place? Can we show a quick chart? Like that kind of stuff is really crucial, and that's part of the UI, UX enhancement, features, usability, and social elements. So all of these things are explained in a summary below the individual timelines, but now it sort of tells you why those are all done in parallel. The work on the BTX serves the BTE as well. So we want to make sure that before the end of April that we release the second iteration of the BTE. Obviously, we want to beat these timelines, but we don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. It would be good if we just spent an entire year making these deadlines. That would do a lot for credibility for the community and some of the asset pissers out there. For lack of a better word in French. I think that once that is all stable and we've had the redesign for both things completed, and we have a second version of the BTX launched before the beginning of September, I think that then we're at a point where all of the stuff that we really need to do is built, and we can use that as a platform to expand the reach and capabilities of the infrastructure and tooling that we've built. So starting already in June, but after September, the release schedule definitely focuses on making sure that all of the tooling and all of the data infrastructure and all of the front end and the community that we've built up by then, and all of the tokenomic effects can be deployed to derive even more from the market by branching into hybrid opportunities. And obviously test for those we want to do earlier. I personally want everything done yesterday, but this is more of a conservative timeline view to make sure that we definitely can make all of these things. Do you have any specific items you want me to dive into on the timeline?
I guess the first one I think we've covered at length so far is the multi-exchange integration, because that's quite important for people who want to branch out and actually start executing in the BTX when they're seeing these opportunities. So yeah, that one. And then I guess following that, the importance of alerts and notifications. I think you've already hit on it, to be honest, but we'll spend a lot more time communicating these things ahead of time.
It's a bit of a double-edged sword, because if you get an alert for every time funding flips, you're going to start flipping in and out of position.
Yeah. Especially with some shitcoin that you've been watching.
Yeah, but you have to trust the people then to provide them with the other parts of the data to make the right decisions. But I think that 9 times out of 10 it will bite you in the ass, but then that 10th time might save you. So I think that it's important to do these alerts and notifications and to make them configurable, so that in the first instance they tell you when something is happening, and in the second instance that they only tell you when something is happening which you want to know about.
Yeah, exactly. There's no one size fits all approach, I guess, for risk tolerance and time horizons with these opportunities.
Yeah. I was speaking about this to a moderator within Lambda yesterday, and he was asking me why I had cut Sol position at 110 yesterday when everything looks like it wants to move further. It's like, well, my time horizon is different and my trading methodology is different, and I have like movements of these things have a different impact because I'm using a different kind of size. And then after a while he understood it. So I think that this is something that I always keep in mind, is that what I think is really useful might not be useful for someone else. So therefore we should make it as easy as possible for people to configure what is useful for them.
Yeah, totally agree. Okay, let's continue on. So I think that hits a fairly good summary of the roadmap. Of course, past Q1, Q2, there are items there that we spoke about already, like DEXs and integrating some deeper strategies and tooling. But upfront, I think the important thing for most people is getting centralized exchanges, multi-centralized exchange integration, Binance, Bybit, KuCoin, and then getting alerts in Q2. That will be an immense upgrade and overall.
I mean, alerts and notifications will happen in a second. It's not like we're going to be building until May, June, and then only releasing. Then we'll try to release more iteratively. I think that that's a huge critical step after the multi-exchange integration, is that we work more towards a bi-weekly release schedule or a monthly release schedule when possible, or faster, to incorporate feedback much quicker and to make sure that the people see all of the work that we're doing on the back end, because that also drives confidence in people using the platform if they see it's actively being developed on. Like currently it's being developed on every day, but nobody sees it. And that's something that we've learned in Lambda, is after the massive charting upgrade, I think it was on Christmas Day, we switched to a release whenever possible sort of schedule. And people see the effort that's going in there, and it really did wonders for people's understanding of, okay, what it takes to A, build stuff, and B, when stuff is done.
Yeah, for sure. And I think an important thing on the communication side of things, which is hard once you're building and you're in beta and trying to finalize a timeline. Now that we're rolling towards more definite timelines, that's a pretty good opportunity to start ramping up those things and communicating more clearly and creating content and tutorials and building around that. So I'll just touch on that quickly. I think most people, I guess, would have seen this, but essentially that's just outlining working in parallel with Bull and the dev team to communicate this to the community and to a wider audience, be it on Twitter or YouTube, these town halls and the odd Twitter space. I'd like to do that as well. So Bull's work, the dev work, and things that are going live over the coming weeks, the coming quarters, you're going to see more and more of the BTX, more and more basis, I guess, hopefully being shared across some larger accounts and myself as well. So I'm quite excited for that. So we're laying the platform, the foundations to really have a big year, I think.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that does the best is if you have a lot of content that you can talk about. Olivier will answer the question on the rough public launch date in a second.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Really, was working in parallel with you, Bull, is where I'm at, where the communication side of things is. So
Yeah.
I think we should keep
I'm sorry.
powering forward.
When we're working on back-end stuff, it's quite hard to keep talking about it, obviously. But as soon as the work shifts to more towards the front end and a quicker release cycle, I think that will provide way more nuggets on a weekly basis to talk about and dive into. People are visually oriented. That's just a fact.
Yeah. And of course, if there's any suggestions in the Discord, there's already been quite a few good ones that we're taking on board with regard to content or getting out and about with other influencers or other projects. Please just tag myself or tag Bull or anyone else, and we'll take a look at it and try and implement it in the best way we can. I think, Olivier, you just mentioned Bull, that he asked for some guidance on a rough public launch date. I think we should just quickly tackle that. And for this town hall, I think that just about wraps it up.
Can you go back to the roadmap slide? That might help anchor that discussion.
Yeah, the tech one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So if we see multi-exchange integration being released within the next 2 weeks, and we have an integration push, I don't see why we shouldn't release it publicly somewhere in between March and April. I think that like the sooner the better, in my opinion, really. And all of the stuff like the basis burn and stuff is all being incorporated. I think that it requires some things like being able to share a position on social media easily, and some of the difficulties that people currently encounter being removed, better materials around how to create API keys properly for exchanges and how to integrate it within the BTX properly. I think that would be key. But I think after multi-exchange integration is there, then apart from these roadmap items, the big move will be towards getting it publicly available.
Yeah, and I guess the point being with the communication side of things, you'll know basically ahead of time when that public launch date is coming, and there'll be a big deal made out of it. Okay.
Yeah, but I think it's safe to say between March and April, so within those 2 months, and as early as possible.
Yep. Okay. So, wrapping up, how to get involved. If you're unfamiliar with Basis so far, this is your first time checking it out, get into the Discord, talk to us, ask questions, ask other people questions. And of course, NFT holders can get access to the BTX at the moment and test it out while it's still in beta. But the TLDR summing up today, and the update is that in the coming 2 weeks, we will move to multi-exchange integration for the BTX for the NFT holders. And once that's finalized, we'll move towards a public launch and getting it out to the public and integrating basis burn and all of those things that have been listed in the documentation and in the blog so far.
Epic. All right. Well, looking forward to
anything else, Bull, or I think that's about it, right?
No, I'm just, it's a fun project. It's a massive technical challenge still. I'm just really looking forward to getting out of this stage of all the back-end work and going more towards front-end work, because I guess it's just very hard to show people, okay, wow, so you've optimized the data retrieval for an order book on a specific exchange, and it's a huge task, and it enables some critical trade possibilities. No one cares. Like it's a week's worth. Yeah. No one gives a shit, and that's the hard part right now, and it doesn't really help calm people's nerves, for those that have nerves, in the Discord and elsewhere. So when we move to this other stage, like it will be a lot more pleasant, which I'm looking forward to. So yeah, let's go.
All right, guys. Thanks, Bull. Thanks, everyone, for joining in. If you're watching this after the fact, I hope you found this insightful. And we look forward to chatting more about the BTX and the public launch in the Discord and on socials as well. So we'll catch you next month for next month's update. And hopefully by that time, we've got you guys executing across a few different exchanges and telling us how much you love the BTX.
Yeah. Happy bull market, because we're in it now.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right, guys.
All right.
We'll see you next time. Bye.